the Terracotta Conservation Area for maple syrup in the park. Evan, before we get all into the syrup, tell me about this park's history.
Terracotta has been owned and managed by Credit Valley Conservation since 1958. It is 485 acres in the Niagara Escarpment, and Terracotta actually used to be a recreational campground with campsites and a swimming pool. Today, our visitors can enjoy a variety of hiking trails and lots of events that go on throughout the year.
So much to do in nature. It's so wonderful to get out here and learn. And for maple syrup in the park, there is so much education. Tell us about what people can learn here.
This is one of our favorite times of the year. Visitors will get an opportunity to take a walk through time and learn about the history of maple syrup. They'll also get to visit our sugar shack where we're actually making maple syrup on site. They can visit our pancake house and try a pancake breakfast with real maple syrup. We have lots of great other activities, and you can visit the park store as well for all of our maple treats and maple merchandise.
There are so many trees here that need to get tapped into. How many trees get tapped into every year?
Yeah, so we actually measure it by how many taps that we put into a tree. So a tree has to be 30 to 40 years old and be about 30 to 35 centimeters in diameter, and that can have one tap. As it gets a little bit bigger, it can support 2 taps, and 3 taps is about as many taps as we want to put in a tree. So at Terracotta, we have 210 taps on the property.
Your goal here at Terracotta is education and fun. Why do you believe it's so important to educate people coming through about this beautiful tradition?
Maple syrup is such an important part of Canadian history and Canadian identity, and it's an amazing opportunity for people to come out and connect with nature. Maple syrup really creates these teachable moments that bring community together, and it also gives us a really great opportunity to talk about the impacts of climate change on the maple syrup industry. So we're just really excited to be out here and connecting with our visitors and teaching them about the maple syrup season.
Well, thank you so much, Evan. I'm excited to get out there and get educated about how maple syrup is made and maybe have a taste test too. Now to learn all about the process of maple syrup and what it actually takes to get from tree to bottle. David, we are here at one of the maple trees. What are some of the tools needed for today?
Sure, so we're going to use a power drill with a bit. We have a rubber mallet to hammer in our spile, and we have a bucket to place on the tree.
I heard it takes about 40 liters of sap to produce 1 liter of maple syrup, which is a lot. So how many liters does a tree produce each season?
Honestly, it all depends on the weather and how that tree is going to function throughout the springtime, but you're actually looking almost about an average of 1 liter of syrup per tap on a tree over the course of the year. So that would be about 40 liters of sap over the course of that spring season.
All right, well, let's see how it's done. Let's get started.
All right. So we're going to use a sugar maple. That's very important. Lots of maples produce a sugar in their sap this time of year, but the sugar maple has the most. So we're going to choose a nice healthy tree, one that is free of disease and pests. And we're going to look at the south-facing side of the tree. So this is the south, and the south-facing side because we want that sun to warm up the tree during the day in the morning to get that sap flowing. We're going to choose a spot right here and drill a hole right there. Upwards on an angle of about 15%. And just shy of 2 inches into the tree. So we'll take this spile, put it in here. We use a rubber mallet just so we're not cracking our spiles. Attach a bucket onto the tree, and we'll see the sap come out here now as well. And we also use a cover for our buckets so that things like wood shavings and leaves and other debris doesn't get inside. It just helps for the process of making maple syrup. You don't have to filter it too much.
How long does it actually take to fill this whole entire bucket?
So again, depends on the weather and how warm it is. We're typically looking for about 5 degrees above zero during the day and then freezing at nighttime, so maybe 2 or 3 degrees below zero. And when that sun comes out to warm up the tree, the sap will begin to flow.
Some of you out there might be wondering what sap actually tastes like, and apparently it tastes like tree water, so let's see. Yep, that's true. It's pretty good though. The sap has made its way through the sap lines into the sugar shack where the liquid gold is formed. Tell us about what happens here, David.
Yeah, sure. So we've collected sap 2 ways, through buckets and through our sap lines. It comes back to our sugar shack, and we actually store it in a big tank up top. That's our raw sap, and it's gravity fed into our evaporator. And the whole purpose here is to evaporate as much water as we can to the point where we increase the sugar content to about 66.5%, where we have maple syrup.
So anything flowing out of here into that bucket over there, is that real maple syrup?
So we're close. Again, we're a bit of a hobby operation here. So we actually use a propane finishing pan over here to finish our maple syrup. It is quite precise. We don't want to have too much sugar in our syrup because it will crystallize. And if we have too less, it will go bad. So we need to have it exactly 66.5%.
And that's it, right? There are no other ingredients that go into the maple syrup made here.
No other ingredients. Pure maple syrup is 100% from sap from the sugar maple trees.
Sometimes when you're shopping in the store and you're seeing maple syrup on the shelves, you're seeing different colors. What are those?
Yeah, so there's different grades of maple syrup. So we have a very short maple season where the sap comes from the trees, but the grades actually correspond to the time of season comes from those sugar maples. So golden always happens at the beginning and the very dark at the end. It's all the same sugar content, the same sweetness, but we're getting a different grade and a different taste profile along with that maple syrup.
From the tree to the sugar shack, and now my favorite part, to my mouth. So sweet, so good. I could drink this as like a full cup. Wow. If you want to check out maple syrup in the park next year or for other park events, head to cvc.ca. Ooh.